selfgrowth.com show. My name is David Riklan, and I'm the founder of selfgrowth.com. Today, we'll be discussing yoga, specifically the power of incorporating yoga into your life and the benefits of a yoga retreat. To help us understand these topics, I'm excited to interview Francesca Maniglio. Want to make sure I get that right. Make sure you have something to write with. We're going to be sharing a lot of information today. Before we get started, I want to take a couple of minutes and share some information on Francesca. Francesca is the founder of Yoga in Salento, and we'll talk about what that is in a little bit. Each year, she hosts and organizes workshop courses for yoga teachers and intensive courses with highly qualified international teachers. The association YIS, active in the area since 2007, has distinguished itself over the years as an important international yoga center, a meeting point of multiple experiences open to different practices deepened over time. She graduated in philosophy at the University of Milan, and after getting her degree, she studied and worked as a filmmaker in New York City for 5 years. And while living in New York City a number of years ago, she studied yoga. She had a great opportunity to study yoga in an open class with David Life, who's the founder and director with Sharon Ganan of the Jiva Mukti Yoga School and Method, very famous. And she's also studied and worked with a wide range of other people. I'm going to bring you on board. Francesca, welcome to today's call.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. And I've been following you since I began Yoga in Salento in 2007. I was doing a lot of research, and I was so fortunate to end up on your website, selfgrowth.com, and to be a part of your newsletter.
All right.
And read the beautiful things you would publish. A true inspiration as I was growing this place. So I am very, very grateful and excited that I've been interviewed by you today. Thank you very much. And
Same
thank
here.
You for the...
And we're interviewing you across the pond from Italy right now. So we're bringing in the two sides of the Atlantic Ocean. So we're very excited about that. I started sharing a little bit about your background. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other yoga people, yoga instructors that you've worked with over the years?
Yes. I have been very fortunate to host really amazing teachers from around the globe. The very first teacher that I hosted, I consider the godmother of Yoga in Salento. Her name is Louisa Ellis, and she's from Arkansas, but she's a traveling Ashtanga yoga teacher. She teaches in Rishikesh half of the year, and for the rest of the time now she's back in Arkansas. But she's originally from LA. And it's possible to see on YouTube interviews I did with her. She's a very wise yogini and all life dedicated to yoga practicing yoga teacher. She's been my very first inspiration, and I consider her my first teacher. Then I studied with many other teachers, but I would say the ones that had a stronger impact on me have been John Scott. And John Scott is a teacher from New Zealand. He's now based in Poland, but he's a traveling teacher as well. And he's maybe the godfather of Yoga in Salento. So he fell in love with this place and comes here year after year. He'll be here next August doing a 2-week intensive for second series practitioners of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. Then I can mention David Williams. David Williams is really a very important teacher in the Ashtanga scene because he was the first Westerner to take Ashtanga out of India. He studied with Pattabhi Jois in Mysore, India, back in the 70s when yoga was really unknown in Italy, in Europe and in the United States. And he was the first non-Indian to be taught by Pattabhi Jois the full syllabus of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. And he brought for the first time Pattabhi Jois to the United States, 70s. He came here 3 times And his approach to Ashtanga yoga is really an inspiration to me because he makes it enjoyable and pleasurable.
Right.
Now, Ashtanga yoga is easy to bring it to a level of too much of a strict discipline
Right.
and not too much fun. But
Mhm.
his hippie approach was very useful for me to take away a little bit of the heaviness
Right.
of
Right.
too much discipline.
Mhm. Okay.
And also Danny Paradise. Danny Paradise is really like a fantastic yogi and musician.
Mhm.
He's been teaching to a lot of like stars in New York, and not only New York. He taught Sting, he taught Paul Simon, Madonna. This back in the
Right.
90s.
Okay.
And when you meet him, you understand why probably became the teacher of all the so laid back and easygoing, but so full of knowledge and love for yoga. And so he will come here again next year. He focuses on yoga and shamanism. So how those practices have in common the healing
Mhm.
benefits, the reconnection to nature.
All right.
So those I would say, but then many others. I mean, each teacher that comes and I host have so much to give and to share, and I try to like take it all in.
Mhm.
This summer in May, I did a teacher training. I did a teacher training with a teacher called John Borg Olivier. He's not an Ashtangi. He created a method called the Yoga Synergy.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful method that allows people that are not really in good shape with the body to really enjoy all the benefits of yoga. And he's been another huge inspiration for
Right.
me. And now I'm studying his method, and I'm really excited about it.
All
And
right.
he will be coming next May for 3 weeks for an intensive teacher training on his method. And he's from Australia.
So obviously, and the reason I ask is you've had tremendous background with a wide range of yoga experts and bring a lot of this together. But I'd like to jump into kind of the meat of our discussion today. So we're talking about yoga. So I want to start with some very simple questions. Why yoga? Why should people embrace yoga as part of their lifestyle? And what are the benefits? So let's just big picture yoga. So we're assuming some of the people who are listening have already embraced yoga and do yoga to some extent, and some are new to it. So let's start with some basics. Why yoga and what are the
Yeah,
benefits of it?
yeah. Okay, let's go to the etymology of the word. The word yoga comes from the 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 sound yug,
You.
the diphthong yug, that means to unite. So yoga aims to unite. So what do we want to unite? First of all, we want to unite the different layers of the self.
Mhm.
Now, the modern life makes us very disconnected from ourselves and from nature,
Mhm.
especially if we live in the big cities.
Right.
So we're disconnected. Our mind is disconnected from the body, and our soul is disconnected from both.
Mhm.
So yoga kind of helps us to reunite the different layers we're made of. I give you a very simple example, and I give the audience a very simple example so they get a sense of what I mean. Like if you want to work your body, okay, because you feel you've been neglecting your body and you start to have a backache or shoulder ache, and you start to feel you cannot even bend in the shower
Right.
to pick the soap that falls. You know, oh, maybe I should do something for my body. Or the doctor tells you, oh, you should start to do something. And then you decide to go to the gym. You go to the gym and you have those machines where you go on a bicycle and at the same time you go online. Okay, so with the body, you're doing one thing, and with your mind, you're doing something else. Okay, that is the opposite of yoga.
Right.
Okay, because it's the total disconnect.
Mhm.
Yoga tries to bring, we can say that the key word in yoga is integration. We want to bring together the different layers.
Mhm.
So, how to connect the body, the outside body made of flesh, bones, and the skin with the the muscles, of course, like all the things that we can feel and touch and see, with the deeper layers, like the body of energy, the body of mind, and the soul. How to connect them? We start from the breath. So the breath, we can consider it like the bridge that connects the physical body to the deeper layers. So yoga gives us methods to reunite, okay, to reconnect also to Mother Earth. We reconnect to sitting on the ground, because we lose that by growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say this, and we can say, so is having more success nowadays because people are disconnected from themselves. And so if they want to work, let's say, the emotions, they go to a shrink.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to the spirituality, they go to church. But those are all like segments that are disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And yoga unifies them all. And you, after 1 hour and a half of practice, of course, you need to follow the path for a while, because at the beginning is so much about learning. But after, let's say, already a month or even less, you can start to feel the benefits of this unification. And you start to feel happier and more energetic and more self-confident, and it gives a lot of benefits. And just with one practice, and the results are not only on the physical level, it goes from the outside in. BNS Iyengar used to say, if we want to journey within to
Mm-hmm.
do the spiritual path, we cannot avoid the physical body. We cannot avoid it. And this is for, I mean, me with my background, Catholic background, by being, an Italian,
Right.
of course, the revolutionary thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that to go in a spiritual journey, you have to start from the body. Catholicism kind of neglects the body, and
Mm-hmm.
not only this religion, maybe some others as well. So we can say that asanas are prayers also. An asana is a prayer, quoting Luiselli. But we start by reconnecting to the body and feeling the body alive again, and
Mm-hmm.
like allowing the tensions to like dissolve. We lengthen the body and we dissolve the tension, because we think we're separate. But if we have a bad news that affects us in a physical level, we close.
Makes sense.
If we're frustrated or scared, we close up.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many things that reflect on the physical body. That's the body of karma, we call it in yoga. Okay, so when we start practicing, it's like we comb the tensions out,
Mm-hmm.
and we reconnect, and we learn on the mat the automatisms we put in action in our daily life. And we say, oh, okay, so when I'm out of the comfort zone, I block my breath. So we do it on the mat, but then we realize we do it also when we meet a
Mm-hmm.
former partner, or our boss that intimidates us, or in other
Right.
situations. And then we recognize we're stopping our breath. If we stop the breath, then we perform less well in the situation. So we learn on the mat what then is very useful outside of the mat.
I want to just jump in for a second. You said a lot there. And the first thing that jumped out at me, so I exercise regularly and I do some yoga, do some yoga poses. But one of the things that struck me is sometimes I'll go to the gym and I'm running on a treadmill. And I'm running on a treadmill and I'm watching the news while I'm running on the treadmill. And I'm just thinking to myself, that's me. That's completely disconnected. And
Nothing wrong with that. It's just that is you know taking that to an extent that we only do that kind of divides us. But it's also good to say, okay, I don't have a lot of time, and the only way I can go and do some workout is if at the same time I do something else.
right. So the interesting thing about yoga, which differentiates it from many other things, is this combination. It's not only body, it's mind, body, spirit, bringing everything together, which is really where the power of yoga comes in. Because I lift weights, I do, I bike, I run, but yoga provides the spiritual component. And I love the fact, and I'm aware of this myself through meditation, that breath is really a core part of where a lot of this starts. And I love the fact that you bring in a lot of different teachers and a lot of different ways. And one of the questions that I have, and I know a lot of people have asked me, is that they see yoga, and sometimes you look at people doing yoga. I've also done hot yoga, where to some people it looks very, very difficult to get started. How difficult is it to get started doing yoga, and how far along before you start seeing benefits of doing yoga?
Well, you have to be lucky enough to end up in a good class with a good teacher. So the
Sure.
first advice I would give is don't randomly go in a studio and go and do some research on the teachers and try to do some study previous to that, and maybe meet the teacher. And instead of going on those fancy studios where 100 of teachers maybe just qualified with 200 hour training, go and look for more experienced teachers and experienced teachers that have a path, that have something to share at a deeper level, because they really lived the yoga for a long time, and what they share comes from deep within. And then there are different methods, but ultimately I think the important thing is to connect well with your teacher.
Okay, so find a teacher, connect well,
And
who's experienced.
Really for everything. But Tabi Joyce used to say, yoga is for everybody, but for the lazy.
Everybody but for the lazy. Okay.
I was a little bit lazy in my life, but my life changed drastically through yoga. So at first I would struggle to keep a regular practice, but throughout the years I really connected so deeply within that now it's really part of my life as brushing my teeth. I have to practice. It makes me feel good. It gives me energy. So another thing we can say about the practice is that it increases the energy level. It's like we're charging our own battery.
So let me ask you a question. So you focus, and your life is really around this beautiful retreat center that you've created, which is a kind of a spiritual component. It's a physical component. There's a lot of things that you bring together. I know people take classes, like local classes. What's the difference between a yoga center, like going to a retreat center, versus, let's say, going to a hotel? Because there's a lot of places that offer kind of yoga courses. So how do you differentiate if someone wants to really embrace it? They've dabbled in it, they've tried a little bit, and they want to get a full experience. How does a yoga center like you have differ from just going to a hotel and taking a couple of courses?
Yeah, okay. So when we go to a yoga class in a city or even in a hotel, we have our regular life made with everything we regularly do. And then we squeeze in a yoga class, maybe over an hour and a half, and we have to rush to the class, and we go in the changing room and we quickly put on our yoga clothes and then rush in the class. And at the end, maybe spend 2 words with somebody, and we have this natural high that comes from the practice, but it kind of dissolves as long as we walk out of the shala with our next thing to tackle. Now, for the yoga retreat, everything that we do is constructed around the yoga. So from the time to practice is early in the morning. So we begin the day with yoga, because yoga is like a gift, but it's an inner journey, but it's also a discipline. So the best moment of the day to do it, ideally, but this is a path we have to go through. So maybe for a year or two, we will just go to a regular class, but we should integrate the self-practice.
Right.
So when we integrate our self-practice, the best time is early in the morning. So a yoga retreat gives you like an idea, and for the time you are on the retreat, it shows you how you should do it. So you wake up in the morning, then of course, here's a beautiful place. Now you don't see it, but you can see the videos on our website. And then you walk in nature and you go inside of the yoga room, and that's how the day begins. And then after the yoga practice, you are with like-minded people that share the same experience. And the levels are from a total beginner to somebody that has been practicing 30 years. And it's beautiful to share this, because then there are all those different stories, but the energy level is in tune. because it's all people that are seeking the same. So then after that, you have a brunch that is very light, but also very lively. We are a farm here, an organic farm. So the food walks few meters or few, how you say, in measures, American measures,
A few hundred
feet,
yards, it's close.
feet to go directly to the kitchen. And the cooks cook with love, fresh food every day, which is cruelty free and made with love and compassion and a lot of respect for season, for natural food. So we don't use like artificial food. Don't use white flour. We don't use white sugar. We try to keep it whole. Also the food. So our logo is turn your holidays into holy days. So we start from the food. No white flour, no white sugar. And we try to keep it holy and cruelty free. So we don't want pain in our meal. And we try to be very, very conscious about what we put inside of us.
So this
so this is about the food.
So I just want to take a second here because you started talking a little bit about the retreat. Can you give out the website that has all the information about all your retreats and what you do? What's your website?
Yeah. The website is www.yogainsalento. That's Salanto, Salento. That's the heel of the Italian boot. So yogainsalento.com.
Okay.
And so I mixed the word yoga with Salento, which is the area where we are. That's the south portion of the region Puglia. And the south portion of the region Puglia is the heel of Italian boot. So we're all down south, and it's a peninsula, so beautiful. We have 250 kilometers of coastline all around us. We are right at the center of the heel, and in 20 minutes, you can reach the most beautiful beaches and rocky places. It's beautiful. But Salento is not only beaches and sea. Salento is full of history that goes all the way back to the Romans. So the city of Lecce, which is just 10 minutes away from us, has actually Greek, Roman theaters you can see. So it's really ancient, and there is so much to see, castles and really ancient churches, and at least 10 castles. So all those medieval towns surrounded by ancient walls. And Lecce is very stylish as well. There is beautiful places for shopping and wine. Salento is famous for great wine. So there is a lot to see and do. You can go visit the wineries and the olive oil, so there is a lot to do. And natural places to visit, like national reserves to go. There are 2 lakes close by, 20 minutes away. So there is a lot to do in the free time. So going back, how a day is structured. After the yoga class and the brunch, there is time to either stay and relax. And in here, we have a lot to offer in terms of like body therapies. Like in spring, we do Ayurveda cleansing. That's the Panchakarma detox. And we have a doctor coming from all the way from Kerala, which is the region of Ayurveda. And we do the deep cleansing of Ayurveda because the spring is the perfect time to do a detox. And then we have many other therapists that live around the area. So we have Ayurveda, but we have also Shiatsu, Thai massage, so osteopathy. We have like also sound healing with the gong, or the gong bells, or the Tibetan bells, or the gong. So also the sound healing with those methods. And then we have a nice pool and a huge park. And of course, all the farm with the veggies and the fruit. And so it's easy to just spend the day here because it's so vast and big, and just spend the day and with other yogis. In 3 afternoons, January 3 to 4, then is possible we do an afternoon session of yoga late in the afternoon. And the days that there is no yoga in the afternoon can be the day that you go out in Salento and explore the area, and there's so much to see. And we can provide, we are very useful with the office to provide all the information, like helping to rent a car or get a driver to drive our guests around. So we can provide all the assistance in the exploration. It can be done also trekking or with the bicycles, a lot of options. Boat excursions to explore the areas you cannot reach by land, like the caves, beautiful caves that you see with a boat. The sea is crystal clear. You see below, it's like this color, like greenish, is really beautiful. When people come here, fall in love. I have many guests that have been coming here since I began 12 years ago. They come every year. I'm moved when they come. I'm so blessed by this.
So what's interesting, and I want to speak to anybody right now who's thinking, you know, a potential yoga retreat. So what this environment really does is it gives you kind of full body, mind, spirit immersion, natural, holistic, and life-changing, literally life-changing. You can jump in, and my understanding, and Francesca, tell me if I'm wrong on this, is the expectation should be when you leave this, when you leave the retreat, you're also developing practices that you're going to be using for the rest of your life. So expect to change in terms of how you're doing stuff and how you're thinking, how you're feeling as a regular basis. What do you see people experience who've been there on a retreat after they go home?
After they go home, not all are able to start. If they never did yoga before and they just come for a week, it's difficult that they develop a regular yoga practice, but probably they will get enrolled in a yoga course. To actually make yoga a habit, but this is for any good habit. We should do it every day for 40 days. So if somebody really wants to make a change, they should stay for 40 days. Because to create a new habit and get rid of an old one, you need to repeat something every day for 40 days. But when I do retreats myself, I tell to my students, you don't need to do like an hour and a half like you're doing here. You can just find a precious space in your house and put your mat there and just do maybe 5 minutes every day. It takes time to develop a habit. So if somebody's really seeking for a life change, I would say allow yourself a longer stay. And in that way, I have to say that compared to the yoga retreats in your side of the continent, so let's say Costa Rica or other areas, we are much cheaper. So like a week here, including yoga, can be an average of 1,000 to 1,200 euros, or more or less euro or dollars were there. So for a week, that is including all the meals, everything, meals and yoga.
It's very, very reasonable.
So in the United States, you have to double that. So go, if you don't believe me, go check it out and you will see. So we're cheap. And also to like allow people to have longer stays. For longer stays, we give even discounts to allow people to stay for a longer time. So, and then we have, of course, the intensive, because we also do intensives, like the one of Simon Borg Olivier that is coming up in May. He's amazing. He's going to do 3 weeks in a row, and that is a fantastic opportunity to be there. Not only if somebody wants to become a teacher, but just to really embrace life. This man is a living encyclopedia of yoga, and he makes it really possible for any level of, even if somebody is not very flexible or has had yoga practice before, but you feel the benefits of the practice immediately.
Right.
So that's what, answering your question, what changes? It changes that you put a seed. Now it's up to
Right.
what you do after you leave. Are you going to water that seed and make it a plant, or you're going to neglect the seed?
Right.
So the seed is there. If you do just 1 week, you had a taste of what happens to you.
Right.
If you come from overseas, I would suggest at least 2 weeks, because the first 3 days you're a bit jet lagged. But if you're in Europe, I have many guests say, "Oh, I should have booked 2 weeks. It's so beautiful. The time flew. I should have stayed more." So I say, if you have the opportunity, do at least 2 weeks. But if you have the opportunity, do even more, because in that way, the seed is maybe already a little plant.
Right.
And so
Got
then it's easier to take care of it,
it.
Then what changes is also the approach to food, because I get a lot of explanation about healthy eating, conscious eating.
So,
And then you create friends that are like-minded, and those friends go up, keep going. Another beautiful thing, because kind of holiday, if I can, use your beautiful term, but it's also enjoyable.
right.
So it's not, a place where you go and you punish yourself, but you really enjoy it. What I love of the yoga community, or at least, yes, what I love of the yoga community is that people that do yoga are light-hearted.
Right.
Happiness is also a choice. It's not how the fortunate you are or how things go, but isn't how you decide to take things that happen. So you can always be focusing on the negative,
Right.
or try to focus more on the positive. And when you do that, life kind of starts to shift.
Sure.
You can teach that much better than me. But
I get it. It's a yoga retreat, but it's a spiritual retreat. It's a health retreat. Now, Agricola Samadhi, what is that? Agricola Samadhi.
so samadhi, so agricola means farm. Okay, is a word. When you have a farm in Italy, we put agricola before the name of the farm.
Okay.
So, agriturismo is a mixture of farming and tourism. So we have many agriturismo in Italy. So the places where you go, you can sleep and you eat the products of the land. Okay, so when I created the agriturismo, that was like 4 years after I began yoga in Salento. At first, it was with the PMB license. Then I made major work, because the place is huge. It's like 10 hectares, so it's really big. So when I transformed in a farm, I decided to call it Agricola Samadhi. Samadhi is, in the ancient text, Patanjali is like the first yogi known of, wrote the Yoga Sutras. And at the beginning, he explains what yoga is. He gives the definition, and then he says yoga is made of 8 limbs. So the last of those 8 limbs is the state of bliss. Okay, so that's samadhi. When you are united. So when you're united with what? When you're united with the self and you feel nicely connected, when you are in tune with nature, when you're in tune with others. And so in general, when you're in tune with the universal self. So when your inner self is in tune with the universal self, that is very abstract. But if I say with others, with nature, then is more easily understood.
All right. So it's an appropriate name. So it's fitting for where you are and what you're doing. All right. So once again, can you give out the website? So you've talked a lot about this retreat, a beautiful retreat, and really something that has this life-affirming opportunity in terms of being able to incorporate yoga. It sounds wonderful. Can you give out the website one more time for folks who are interested in getting more details or coming there? So
Yes, it's www.yogainsalento.com. And also, we have a spa here. So we have a sauna, we have a Turkish bath, we have a jacuzzi for four that can have 4 people at the same time. So it's a small spa, not one of those huge ones. Intimate. You can be there with 5 people and really enjoy your little spa moment. And we're open all year long, but retreats you can see in the calendar on our website, the Yoga and Salento website, generally start in April and end up in October. But we're open all year long. So if somebody has a holiday in November, I would host them and make like a self-tailored retreat. But of course, then it would be more one-on-one retreat. Now we will have 2 more months to go, all the month of September and all the month of October, which is the beginning of fall. But they call October the second summer because it's not
lost you for a second.
Average sunny days. The beaches are empty because it's not high season, and the water is warm. The Mediterranean is warm, and so it's really pleasant to enjoy like nature without the umbrellas, without the hecticness of the high season.
All right.
In the second.
Do you have any final words? People know how to get in touch with you. We've covered a lot of information. Yoga can be life-changing for people, and I know a lot of folks who embrace it. A retreat sounds spectacular. Any final words for our listeners today?
Yeah, well, the teachers I host are not random teachers. I really look for high-quality teachers that have been really on the path for a while and have a very serious background in yoga. So there is a careful selection of the teachers I host. And I've been so meticulous about this that now.
Okay, we lost you for a second again.
For teachers to be host privileged, Ashtangi, we're very known, internationally known. So this is another element for sure. And our days into holy days. Sometimes we go on a holiday and we fill it of activities, and then we go back home and maybe we saw many places, but we overate and we feel more tired than when we left. So it's important when you go on a holiday that you actually allow yourself to rest and recharge your batteries. And so the mixture of yoga and Salento is a way to join the yoga discipline and work that there is to do, that is really a self-journey inwards, that has so many gifts. If you listen to all what we talked about, you heard what I think about it. And but it's not my opinion, is it's with Salento, let's say. So you join the yoga work that recharges, that gives you so much, with the holiday. But you can, by joining the two, you can go back home that you're rested and full of energy, and you had the experience of visiting beautiful places, and this area is really Dolce Vita perfect.
I like it. Thank you for sharing this information today. yogainsalento.com. Make sure to check it out. If you're looking for a holiday that is a holy day that will recharge you, this retreat is a phenomenal way. And I'm one of these people who sometimes goes on vacations where you need a vacation after your vacation. But this is a place to really recharge who you are. And I love the concept. Francesca, thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank everybody for listening. And I want to wish everybody great success in all the areas of your life. We'll talk to everybody soon. All right. Take care.
Thank you very much. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.